Today, April 11, 2011, Ovarian Cancer Canada welcomes you to this session of our telephone and online education series for women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers. Today's session, Getting Better All the Time, Young Women Deal with Menopause and Infertility, will be given by Ann Katz, who is a sexuality counselor at Cancer Care Manitoba, and Claudia Connor, a young survivor, ovarian cancer survivor, and Cynthia Bradford will give a brief testimonial. I am Iris Pizon, Program Manager at Ovarian Cancer Canada. OCC endeavors to provide women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers the information that they need. We hope that you will find this interactive session interesting and that you will address your questions to Ann Katz, Claudia Connor, and Cynthia Bradford. The line we are on is an open line, so you can interact with the speakers. But if you want to ask a question, then you can ask your questions, but please mute your phone if you are only listening. The previous teleeducation sessions are available on YouTube. We hope that you can help us with your feedback. An evaluation form will be sent to attendees via email. And now, please welcome Claudia Connor.
Hi there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with ovarian cancer and my issues surrounding fertility. To give you a little bit of the backstory, it was October of 2006. I had visited my GP to tell her that we were planning to have children, and I wanted advice on how to get my body healthy for this process. At this time, I was on birth control for less than a year, but more importantly, I wanted to discuss I was experiencing pain during intercourse. My GP did a pelvic exam and could not find anything out of the ordinary, and just said to let her know if it persisted. So we fast forward to January, and I returned to see her again, expressing I still had pain during intercourse. And so she then sent me for a, she had examined me again, and during this examination, she applied pressure to my stomach area and the pelvic area, and she noticed tenderness, and which had led her to believe I had a cyst. She wanted to confirm, and she sent me for an ultrasound, which then fast forward, of course, to March, where the ultrasound revealed that I had a history of burst cysts, that I had endometriosis, and that currently I had a cyst on my right ovary and my left ovary. So she then referred me to a gynecologist, because from there we were going to remove the cyst so that I could continue with my plans to have children. And my gynecologist was going to perform a laparoscopic surgery to remove the cysts. He had expressed I had nothing to worry about. This was very common for women. Thousands of women have cysts, and thousands of women also had endometriosis, so I didn't need to be concerned. I was planning on going away for holidays, and I asked if I should postpone them and first have the surgery. He said no, to go ahead. So I went away on holiday in June, and then I had my surgery coming back on July 4th, 2007. After the laparoscopic surgery, I had gone in to see my gynae for a quick checkup. He said everything looked great. I was healing very nicely, and basically I could be making babies in about a month. On the 17th, he called me back in to see him, and I was accompanied with my mother, thank God, and he waited till she came upstairs so that everyone could meet together, and that's when he proceeded to tell me that I had ovarian cancer, that the pathology report had found something unusual with the cysts, and as far as it revealed, on my left ovary I had clear cell carcinoma, and on the right ovary it was a borderline endometrioid tumor. So the next steps were going to see an oncologist, and I was devastated. At the time, I was shocked. It was like someone had just all of the cliches where you go into a fog, where you literally, you're not functioning. That's exactly what happened. I think my husband thankfully took over the reins and started making appointments left, right, and center because I wouldn't have known what to do. I was very much in shock. It didn't process. It really didn't process. All I wanted to do was just get it out of me and get better. And so when I saw my oncologist and he finally assessed that I would require a full hysterectomy, oophorectomy, along with removal of my momentum, which basically equated to every single female, reproductive organ I had would be removed from my body, and any hopes of having children would be, in terms of as a biological mother, those dreams were gone. It was very hard to process. Sorry. It's been a long time since I've actually had to think about it, so I apologize for the emotion.
Oh, don't worry. The emotions are always there, aren't they?
Yeah. No matter how much time goes by. Yeah, but I can say it does get better. It does get easier as time goes on. And with that, my best recourse for survival, because they were very concerned about the clear cell presence in my body, because it was a very aggressive cancer. They thought the best course of action was to do the full hysterectomy with oophorectomy and 6 doses of chemotherapy. So we immediately went into action. I had the surgery. Shortly after the surgery, my body I did experience menopause, and my body was just insane. I was going through hot flashes, and my mood swings were up and down. I couldn't understand. I felt completely foreign, and luckily I had my prescription filled. I was a candidate to have hormone replacement therapy, so I was able to take pills to replace that, and thankfully it everything was great. And but the first few weeks going through menopause, it felt very, very unusual. It was very hard to control myself. So I found that, and I do take a dose daily. At the time, I wanted to find out what the long-term effects would be in terms of what that would be doing to my body. My doses are so minimal, though, that my doctors advised me that it wouldn't be an issue. So definitely when I'm going to be revisiting that at a later stage. I was 33. Sorry, I didn't state that at the beginning. I was 33 when I was diagnosed, so I was nowhere near ready at the time to be dealing with the issues. And luckily I was a candidate that I could take hormone replacement therapy. I think more than anything, what really affected my world was the fertility issue. At the time, I tried to seek support from other women going through ovarian cancer, and I couldn't find anybody close to my age. Everyone had either already had their children and were still young and dealing with ovarian cancer, or they were well into their 50s and 60s, had their children, and they were nowhere near, in terms of the same place that I was. So I had a real difficulty connecting to anyone. I reached out to support groups. I reached out to Ovarian Cancer Canada. And I also went to see a psychologist to deal with the fertility issue. Okay. It was even within the hospital, and that's something that I was very thankful for. I had incredible nurses. They, when you're coming out of surgery, seeing your body for the first time, all cut up and stapled, and those images stay with you forever. And my nurses were just unbelievable. They stayed by my side. They came to check on me regularly, and I firmly believe that if it wasn't for nurses, definitely you would have a much different state of mind. It really helped me along through that time in my life and when I was going through my chemo. It's very important for me, it was very important to stay positive.
Oh.
Yeah. So I began my chemo treatment in September 2007. I had 6 treatments, and I finished December 20th of 07. Through that time, I stayed positive, and I didn't really grieve. I almost equated that to I wanted to wait till I was finished and then mentally collapse. So my reward at the time was that I was going to go away skiing in February, and then I would find some time to grieve afterwards. Unfortunately, when I went on my ski trip, I found a little lump growing in the same area that I had my first laparoscopic surgery. When I came back, we discovered that it was indeed the cancer coming back, and what had happened was a rogue cell had got loose near the surface of the skin, and I guess that area had not been exposed properly to the chemotherapy. So as a result, I underwent 30 radiation treatments, which I finished May 20th of 2008. So after that, that's when I grieved, and that's when I let it all go. And I think more than anything, than dealing with the cancer, dealing with the chemo, dealing with the radiation, the fertility issue was really hard for me. Because I had my heart set on being a mom. Everyone had told me that everything was going to be fine, that I would have my children and no big deal. So it was very hard, but I found a lot of support by going to seek therapy and talking with family and friends. I did end up meeting another individual who also was going through the same issues. So for me, I was able to take part in that. Later on, I had told myself that if I was able to help and support another woman who was going through that at the time, that it would make this entire experience worth it. Because I think being alone at that time, that's the feeling that you're alone in terms of dealing with fertility. It's very hard. You go into dark places, and it's scary. It can be very scary. So, but I learned that with every day, you do get stronger. You heal, and you find the things that didn't make you smile for the longest time starting to make you smile again. And finding support within family and friends and organizations is very key to getting back on that path to recovery. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you for sharing. Wow.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Does somebody have a question for Claudia? Okay, so what we'll do is I'll have Anne, go now, and then Cynthia, if you don't mind, Cynthia. Are you okay?
Yep.
In terms of time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So Anne, and now please welcome Anne Katz.
Thank you. So hello, everybody. My name is Anne Katz, and Claudia, I was so happy to hear that the nurses were such an important part of your support team, because as a nurse, I'm a nurse with a doctoral degree, so don't mistake that doctor for me being some sort of super oncology specialist. I'm not. I'm a nurse with a doctoral degree, and it always warms my heart when I hear that my nursing colleagues are doing what they're supposed to do. We hear so many complaints, so it was really nice to hear that they played an important role. So I'm a sexuality counselor, and it's been a wonderful journey. I learn something new from my patients every day, and I'm always pleased to do something with Ovarian Cancer Canada, because I actually come from a women's health background. I'm actually trained as a midwife, and I seem to see a lot of men in my practice, so I'm always happy when I get a chance to talk to women about women's things, and as a woman, it's important for me as well to sort of give back. So I know there's someone on the line who has a whole lot of questions, so instead of me blabbing on, let's get to those questions and go from there. How does that sound?